BATJAC J.W, and you are tuned into the channel, or at least you clicked on this video, right? Okay, revolvers prices, do they vary? They certainly do. A lot of times you get what you pay for with these things. All right, I'm a big revolver fanatic. I love them. Just for me, it's a lot of it is just growing up with my dad and watching old cop shows from the 70s and stuff. So really just like grabbed me with revolvers. Okay, so you've been around my channel long enough. You've seen some of my videos, hopefully. You know I am kind of the revolver fanatic, to say it again. All right, so let's see. Most of the time what you see on the channel with me is either a Smith & Wesson. Usually I'm kind of partial to Smith & Wesson. I'll admit that right up front. I have an obsession with Smith & Wesson. To me, Smiths are just, there's nothing like them. When you pick one up, when you handle them, it just something just is amazing about it. It just, the feel of it, they're so smooth. They just operate just like a clock. Okay, so, but we have some other things, like a Ruger. We have this one on loan, a Ruger. This one's a Security 6 357 Magnum. Looks a lot like a Smith & Wesson Model 19. We'll be doing a video on this, but all right, so does it have to be perhaps a Smith & Wesson, like a snub-nose 38, or perhaps a Colt? Not really. You can always find a Rock Island Armory Armscore M206. This one's $244. That's what I bought it for, right off of budsgunshop.com. It's a 6-shot snubby, like it. The finish is parkerized, so don't expect any kind of lustrous bluing, such as like maybe perhaps from the Colt Python line, or the snake line. No, but it's does it work? Does it go bang? Yes, it does. It works just fine. It's I mean, I still got it. It's one of my shooters that I take out from time to time. So really, in the end, what are you getting? What's the price points for Smith & Wessons? Now, I can't really I don't know too much about some of the other stuff that's out there, some of the oddball stuff, but I can tell you this: the Rossi and Taurus line, those are pretty good revolvers. They're running in the $300 to $400 range in that market. So, but I mean, it's about as, in my opinion, it's about as good as really it's going to get for that kind of money. One of the things to look for is definitely the older Taurus revolvers. We did a review on one, I think it was the Model 80. That thing is so close to a Smith & Wesson Model 10, it's really shocking. It's almost like you're holding a Smith & Wesson Model 10. Speaking of the Model 10, a good revolver for the money and yet a quality Smith & Wesson is a Model 10. You can actually go and find used trade-ins or surplus Model 10s for the $300 mark, $300 to $400, depending on what era it's from. You may be looking at a pre-Model 10, something like this. Now this is a pre-Model 10 snub, which is a little bit different and really rather unique. Now this is a 5-screw model, so it's got the 5 screws on the plate, or the 4 here and then 1 on the trigger guard, to be correct. This one can set the price up a little bit higher for that. But your general Smith & Wessons, like this Model 10, even for the pre-Model 10, it's in really good shape. You know, such as your Model 15, or even some of the other ones, some of the other 38s, like the Model 27 and such. You can pretty much expect a price range around $600. I've always, when I started buying Smiths, when I started looking into them and getting obsessed with them, pretty much your 38 specials, your standard 38 specials, unless it's some kind of a commemorative thing or a really sought after model, generally you're right around that $600 mark. I purchased a lot of mine for under that, in fact, now, but that's been some time, so they may have gone up a little bit. A book to check out if you're into Smith & Wesson revolvers, the double action revolvers, for sure, is the standard catalog of Smith & Wesson. The 3rd edition's out right now. There's actually a 4th on the way. I'm looking to pick that up just because it's chock full of good information, things that you can identify with, what the dash numbers mean. That also is going to affect the price on these, the dash numbers. For instance, let's just use the good old Model 29, the Dirty Harry gun, my favorite revolver. That one, depending on the dash mark. Now mine, both the ones I own, are a dash 3. The Dash 2, they pinned and recessed the cylinders, much like my Model 19 is. My Model 19 has got a pin barrel and recessed cylinders, meaning that when you put a round in the cylinder, the round countersinks a little bit in there. There was an extra step that they took, that they discontinued doing it, probably for cost and time measures. But those are more desirable. And so a pinned and recessed model, like for instance a pinned and recessed Model 29, is going to go for more than a Dash 3 because there's less of them. And to get one in good shape. Also, for collector's value, a lot of people do collect them, so having the box and all the paperwork, that's also really important to have all that, especially if you're in this game and you're going to be looking at the collector's market. A lot of the guys that are selling them like to pull that card, the collector's card. Well, it's a collector's item. That's why I'm asking for this much more. Well, when you start to justify the prices and look at books like the Standard Catalog of Firearms, I love that book because it's a nice ballpark figure of where you're looking at for the prices for these things. It gives you kind of an idea where if you look at it, for example, if you say, well, I'm looking at this Model 29 and according to the Standard Catalog of Firearms, brand new, pristine in the box with the tags, $1,500, very good, excellent shape, you're looking at 1,000, just example prices out there. And then that way you got an idea of what you're looking at. So if you go to the gun salesman and he says, well, it's a collector's item, it's brand new, it's pristine, it has barely been fired, it's really clean, running the usual salesman pitch, right? And then he comes back at you $1,500. Well, now, all right, $1,500, that's brand new in the box with the tags, never been fired other than the factory. So that's something you can use in your inventory for your ammunition for yourself, pun intended, to kind of help buy these things. Now I am a collector, so I have tapped into buying such as from the Colt snake lines, the Diamondback, the Python. Those are just extremely collectible. The prices, that's a great example of prices. It's insane. A price for a Colt Python on Gunbroker, for instance, I never thought I'd ever see those prices, being an owner of this gun for many years now. I can't believe it. If I would have known back when I bought mine what they were going to turn into in such a, really just a small window. I think I've been an owner of a Python for five years or so. It really is crazy. I can't believe that's what they went for. I would have actually bought more, but there again, we didn't know. Just like guys back in the 70s didn't know. They should have hung on to them. But of course, that's the other thing that we hear a lot is, well, back in 1970, or whatever the year, they say, well, I could have bought that for $300. I could have bought that for $200. Well, here's the thing. The dollar, what people made back then also was different. The minimum wage was different. How much money you brought home from your paycheck was a lot different than today's market. Today's market, yes, $100 is nothing. I mean, we toss that in the wind. I mean, you can blow $100 a trip to the grocery store without even blinking an eye. So, just some things to think about. The money, yes, the guns have grown in significant money. Yes, I know, from $3,000 to $300 is quite a jump. Me personally, I think that's a little high. I think it's a little pricey even for my blood. I can't, I'm not gonna. I love the gun. I love the Pythons, but I think the price is just inflated way too much. So, but that's something to think about. The prices from way back, years and years and years ago were one thing. Yes, we'd love to be able to pick up a Model 29 for a couple $100 now, but what was a couple $100 back then? A couple $100 back then was quite a bit of money. That was quite a bit of change. In fact, you hear those stories of guys from during the 70s when Dirty Harry came out, and then the inflated prices on these Model 29s. Just absolutely to the roof. It drew the sales up and the prices up. Guys at gun shows, whatnot, definitely making a big turnaround and turn and flip money on that. So that kind of gives you that area, but definitely it helps to look at books. It helps to definitely own some of these quick reference books. You can throw that in your car. Of course, everybody now has their cell phone where they can look things up. I'm a bit too old school. Kind of hence my collection of revolvers. I like to have the books. The blue book of gun values is another way to do it. I always look at Gunbroker. I use Gunbroker as a lot of reference to for me, because that shows you the realistic auctions, what people are actually paying for them at the time, you know, during the current, what's going on and everything. So now caliber can change that price tag. For instance, the Smith & Wessons, going back to the Smiths again, a 44 Magnum is definitely going to be a little bit more than a 38 Special. Yeah, just you know, you could say, oh, there's more steel involved, or it's a, you know, more of a gun to build. That's the other thing we're going to touch on here right now, is with the way everything is now, not bashing them, I like them. You guys been around my channel, I'm a big fan of the Glock, but there again, those guns are easily made compared to a revolver. A revolver, you got steel, you got a cylinder, you got drill holes. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going into it, so the construction of it is going to be a lot more what people used to do. Now it's so easy just to you know, injection mold this and do that. So that's going to drive the prices up a little bit. Now the Colts, I swear, Colt, the COLT is, in my opinion, it's like a secret hidden word that stands for cash, because they've always brought money. The one thing about Colts, they're always going to hold their value. That's the thing, is you put a Colt on the table, there's money to be said. There's just really can't argue with it, because the name says it all. You're really going from that company's name and what everything it means. Now, back to kind of not necessarily needing to have the Colt or Smith & Wessons. Like, here's a great example for me. I'm a big fan of the Cowboy guns, all right? The single action revolvers. Kind of a cowboy at heart. Big John Wayne fan I am. So, do I own the Colt single action? No, because I think that for what I want to do with this, it's a little expensive. They do run some high dollars. For me, again, now back to what I want to do with it. Now, we talked about the collector standpoint. What about the person that just wants to use it, shoot it, possibly carry it? Now, this is a Cimarron Frontier model. This is the offering that they have. These are about $500, I believe, something around that ballpark. This is a 45 Colt, the 4 3/4 inch barrel. Now, this is an Italian made, and I'm not worried if this gets scratched up or holster wear on it. I like to, you know, toss this in my holster, go truck around on the range, or go to my friend's coffee land and shoot wax bullets around and do all that sort of stuff. And if I get a couple scratches on it, it's okay. I'm not gonna go, oh, that Colt. You know, just that $1,500 or $2,000 Colt. Some of those Colt first and second generation, third generation single action armies have gotten up there in price, man. I mean, they are just wow. I don't think I'd want to. I mean, that's like me taking this Python around and just kind of tossing it around like it's nothing. I don't think I want to do that. So I like to. Nothing wrong with having something like this. Rugers, like the Security 6. This is actually an older vintage Security 6. The grips are definitely a throwback. Reminds me a lot like a Smith & Wesson. In fact, if you didn't know any better, at a glance, you would think it's a Smith & Wesson. Really cool. Rugers are made tough. If you're definitely looking for something to take to the range, blast a lot, conceal carry, whatever, Rugers are absolutely excellent. They're built like tanks, man. Those things can just handle a steady diet of magnums, especially the 357s, the 44 magnums. I'm still in the market for a Ruger Red Hawk. I gotta have that gun. It's such a neat little gun. Just 44 Magnum, and just to be able to just throw down some firepower and not really worry about it, going there just because it's so built well. But then again, those are not nothing to sneeze at. Those Red Hawks, I mean, you're looking at $1,000, $1,000. So it depends on the prices. Again, the Taurus and the Rossies are really good prices for what you're getting. They're in that $300-$400 range. You can even be happy with a Rock Island Armory M206 for a couple $100. Again, I paid $244 for it. So those are also out there. Another one to talk about would be the Heritage Arms, the Rough Rider Heritage Arms. That is the 22 single action revolver, the Cowboy gun. I used to own one of those. I got rid of it. I actually regret getting rid of it. I paid like $200 for that gun. No joke. It came with 2 cylinders, 22 LR, 22 Magnum. That is a great combination. That gun, I tell you, I wish I would have still kept. I wish I still had it right now, because it's a great gun, not bad, great for the range, great for plinking. So, question you want to ask yourself: what do you want to do with it? For me, I'm kind of more of a collector, so I kind of invested my money a little bit into the collector's value of it and holding on to it. And you know, I do bring them out, don't get me wrong. I bring some of these out and play with it. I've shot the python here on videos a couple of times. So that's just where I am at. I'm more of a collector than, you know, more just into collecting these things for the coolness of it. Absolutely. But you know, in a defensive situation, yeah, nothing wrong with having a revolver on the nightstand. Some people carry them. People did. Imagine before we had Glocks and such, people carried these things. People used these things, and they use them efficiently and well. So just because something else has come on the market doesn't, that, you know, you shouldn't just dismiss these and toss them out, because people were very efficient with them, extremely. Hey, just ask Jerry Michalak, right? All right, the other thing to talk about, the last thing I'm just going to mention real quick, is an alloy frame. An alloy frame can sometimes bring up collector's value, especially the older ones, like this Colt Agent right here. This Colt Agent is a very early edition because it's got the nice lustrous finish on it, and this is an alloy frame. This is kind of a lot like the Model 37 from Smith & Wesson. The Model 37 is really just an alloy frame version of the Model 36, the J frame. This is almost about the same size as a J frame. This is a D frame. I do believe they designate these as the D frame, as well as the Detective Special and the Diamondback are both D frames. But you know, that can also bring up the value. Now, depends on too, you know, like this, the Agent is not the most expensive one from their lineup. I think the Detective Special commands more money than the Agent does. So again, you can also look at the Colt Trooper versus a Colt Python. The prices are definitely on opposite sides of the field there. So always good to check out the books, check out Gunbroker, see what they're going for. Be careful on Gunbroker at the same time. It's a good reference point, but the other downfall to that is you get people in a bidding war, and then you got a couple of people with deep pockets, and they really don't care about the price, and they're just going at it, and that price tag is just growing, and then it gets to the point where it's astronomical. You got to be careful of that, but at least if you got your books, your blue book, gun values, or the standard catalog of firearms, or the standard catalog of Smith & Wesson, if you're into Smiths, is a good point to a good reference to have. At least you have that in your inventory. So anyway, I'm BATJAC J.W. Little chat on revolvers, prices, collecting. Just kind of my opinion on things. I know you may disagree or you may agree, but let's agree to disagree if we disagree. But thanks for watching. I'm BATJAC J.W. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out the channel. That's a little bit on revolvers and prices. I'll see you in another video.